exclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
Access granted.
In a survey conducted by the public opinion research firm Eviderus, KBLA Talk 1580 consistently emerged as the station of choice for black audiences in the Los Angeles media market and beyond. The survey also revealed that the vast majority of black audiences are concerned about the lack of black-owned media and are more likely to listen to talk radio that focuses on issues that impact the black community. For some reason, the other talk stations haven't quite figured that out.
If you think about KFI, well, KFI only has like a 3% black listenership. 3%. So there's a good 97% out there to support a station like KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
All I need is one mic.
For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley with a KBLA editorial. I've said it all along. Presumption of innocence, fundamental fairness, due process. Convicted now on 7 counts in his federal bribery case, LA City Councilman Mark Willie Thomas scarcely got one, and his chances of getting the other 2 were slim to none, and Slim was out of town. Did you hear the jury forewoman's comments? The jurors were confused by the jury instructions, confused by the answers to the almost 12 questions they sent to the judge. She acknowledged that some jurors were not even paying attention. And she said the jury knew that the $100,000 contribution from MRT was legal, but the way the jury instructions were written made them feel like they had to find MRT guilty of wire fraud. Again, those are her words. So let me offer you just 3 questions that I want you to ponder. 1, why do you think the U.S. government spent millions of dollars of your money going after an alleged $100,000 bribe? 2, USC is in the news almost daily, it seems, for yet another violation of some law or the contestation of somebody else's humanity. But unlike all the other cases, they didn't get caught by some LA Times investigation. No, USC walked this particular case involving a powerful black leader into the U.S. Attorney's Office. Who made that decision, and how and why was it made? 3, while all the focus is on the indictment of Donald Trump, are you paying attention to all the other high-profile black elected officials that are being targeted across the nation by the Justice Department? Joe Biden's Justice Department. I'll let you marinate on that for a second. The judge in one case involving a high-profile black elected threw the charges out and told the government to kick rocks. It doesn't matter who's in charge. The hunting season for black folk is always open. I do not purport to know what's next for MRT. What I do know is that his legacy of love and service to our community is intact. What I do know is that God can turn your shipwreck into a submarine. As for all the rest of us, be vigilant, be sober, be circumspect. Just because you don't believe in conspiracy theories don't mean they ain't after you. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We, of course, welcome your comments.
My own Rashida, can you put me on with the Nagarita? She stay on my dome, she gon' pull on me, pull like weed inside me. She my queen, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. She my queen, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. She my queen. She gon' pull on me, pull like weed inside me. Or Sharon Leo, she stay down.
KBLA Talk 1580. Time for our daily deep dive, and we have some artists on deck that I cannot wait to introduce you to. But speaking of my queen, the queen of Compton, Molly Bell, is checking in. We've had such a busy morning, and a lot of people asking about your health, Queen Molly Bell, after you were, your injury, you were in the hospital. You're home now, right?
Yes. Reparations in memory of our ancestors. Happy Good Friday, because this is the day that they put my Jesus to death. But the best thing is, he got up, so I don't worry my little head about that. And I want to thank all my calls and all the listeners and all the texts and everything for those who have sent me their loves, but especially their prayer. Went to the doctor yesterday, told me, keep the brace on for about another couple of weeks, and then hopefully I could go through some therapy. Then I get to get out, and I'm believing that, and I'm trusting that. And Dominique, I just wanted to say a couple of things about this past week. First of all, I had put in a chat room that I would love to hear. I'm sure you remember, because you're a hip hop person. Remember Arrested Development?
Of course.
And they sing a song called Tennessee. And he's back to Tennessee, and he saw all the ghosts of his ancestors and everything that happened. And so for those who have not heard Tennessee, Google that, Johnny Green, I came home and I had a health alert, emergency alert on my front door. So I thank him for that. But before I say, I want to say three quick things. Trump and what happened to him, and people saying, this is nothing, this is Stormy Daniels, everybody having an affair and all like that. But you have to go after them, the little things. I'm old enough and young enough to remember this man named Al Capone. He was a murderer, a killer, everything that you could think of. Well, I know you know, Dominique. They got him on what? Income tax evasion. That's what they put him to jail on, was on something like that. Second of all, I want to say Clarence Thomas. And, I had a chance with you on the air. I apologize to, I can't think of her name right now, for standing up more so for Clarence Thomas as opposed to her, because I thought that was so unfair of her not to want Clarence Thomas to get in. And I went and got her book and everything.
Anita Hill, you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, Anita Hill. And I was able to apologize after all those years, because I grew up in a time where women weren't considered all that. And when back in those days when men would talk ugly to us, you either say, get out of my face and leave me alone. But you didn't stop them from taking Thurgood Marshall's seat, which he didn't. But now I'm finding out he's a crook, too, doing all the crazy things. I hope he get arrested and go to jail or whatever, the way that I don't know all about how they punish Supreme Court justices and can they be arrested. But I'm definitely hoping that final one about what happened in Tennessee. The first one, Representative Justin Pearson, he's the one with the big natural. And with those glasses on and standing there, didn't he look like Malcolm? Didn't he look like Malcolm? And then Representative Justin Jones, he was the second black one. And they said that he's a Filipino and black.
Yep.
I didn't know that. And then Gloria Johnson, the white girl. I appreciate it. When they asked her, why do you think you were not expelled? Her answer, because of the color of my skin. We're in a new age. I've said this, God is going to blow our mind this year. And one person had asked me, well, Molly Bell, why were they standing up for all them white kids? Doesn't Dr. Karinga teach us, Dominique, that black people, we are the moral vanguards of the world. So if you have any comments, I'll listen to them off the air. But again, I just want to everybody celebrate Easter Sunday, because for me, we call it resurrection. He got up. Had he not gotten up, Had my Jesus not gotten up, all of that would have been in vain. So take me back to Tennessee. All you prayer warriors, you know what you've got to do. You've got to keep fasting. You've got to keep praying because the struggle continues. But always, to God be the glory. Ready for your next guest. Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you, Molly Bell. I appreciate all that you had to say. And you have to be Queen Molly Bell to get airtime during my daily deep dive. Glad you're feeling better. KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. K.O. And we don't black down.
Coming to Los Angeles.
It's the show that rocked the country, playing to over 1.5 million people. It's God's Trying to Tell You Something.
Coming to the Bollar Ebell Theater for one day only. Saturday, April 22nd at 2 and 7 p.m. See what everyone is talking about and feel the power of God.
So this was the bomb. I loved it.
It was really, really good.
Amazing singing.
And the performers were fantastic.
A little crying. There was a lot of laughter. My kids was like, Mom, what's wrong? Because I started to cry. And I said, these are just tears of joy.
It met and exceeded the expectations. It was very well presented, and everybody did great.
It was fantastic. I felt like I was on Broadway.
Tickets on sale now at Eventbrite.com and God'sTryingToTellYouSomething.com.
It's the theatrical masterpiece you've got to see. It's God's Trying to Tell You Something.
Oh, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So blessed to be here.
Don't miss it.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job training starting at $19.10 per hour, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus is a great employer. Let Culver City Bus connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in the community, then you are invited to join the Culver City Bus team. Start your journey today by submitting an application at culvercity.org/job. For more info, visit culvercitybus.com or call live customer service operators at 310-253-6500.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
An old man called Mississippi, that's the old man that I'd like to be. What does he care if the world's got troubles? What does he care if the land ain't free? Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling along.
KBLA Talk 1580, that's the voice. Paul Robeson, and we're being joined right now in studio by the co-founder, CEO, and producing artistic director of the Robey Theatre Company, a theater veteran who believes in the power and purpose of theater. Ben Guillory, welcome.
Thank you, Dominique. Good morning.
Good morning. Speaking of iconic voices, that's Ben Guillory's voice. We're also being joined by a graduate of the University of Arts in Philadelphia. He is a director and an artist, David Bollar. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Paul Robeson's birthday, Sunday. Yeah.
April 9th, 125th anniversary of Paul Robeson.
Wow. So he'd be 125.
He'd be 125.
Wow. So, and you've dedicated your life, or a lot of your life, the last few decades here to the Robey Theatre Company, which is named in his honor. But it's not just a name, because you do a lot of work to sort of educate people about who Paul Robeson was.
Paul Robeson. Robeson. All right. So much. A Renaissance man in the truest sense of the word. He was the first Black All-American, 1917, 1918, Rutgers University. He was an attorney when they didn't allow Negroes into the American bar. He and Roland Hayes lifted up what was then called darky spirituals to a place where it was taken as serious music. He did 12 films. He was the first black actor to do Othello on Broadway, still holds the record for the longest-running Shakespearean production in the history of Broadway theater, 296 performances. He sang and spoke in 20 languages. Artist, scholar, athlete, at the end of the day, though, a humanitarian that believed in the brotherhood of man and fought his whole life for it and paid dearly for it. You know, we're talking about the most popular artist in the world between 1935 and the late 40s. Not the most popular black artist, but the most popular artist in the world, mostly because he toured and he would sing in the language of wherever he landed. And so he literally spoke the language of the people, and they loved him for it. They named a mountain after him. In Russia, he had a hand in composing the Chinese national anthem, the Ballad of the Americans, a song that was recorded back in 1941. And it goes on and on and on. Very much the activist. Paid the price for speaking up, because truly, literally a rock star of his day, because his celebrity allowed him to speak out and be listened to. And this country was tracking him all the way down the line. Hoover was tracking him, and several other folks were tracking him because of his beliefs in scientific socialism, you know. And that's a whole nother plateau of, you know, when we talk about communism or socialism in the decades of 1910 was one thing, 20s another thing, and 30s another, 40s another. And for us, people of color, because we were 50, 60 years out of being enslaved, some of this looked pretty good. The whole idea of the state assisting. And so how that all evolved was something that was appealing to many of us. And Paul advocated that. So did W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes, Essie, Paul's wife, who was a force of nature in her own right. She was the person that introduced Paul to the theater, as a matter of fact, and managed his singing career for the first 7 years. Here's an example of Essie. Essie negotiated Paul Robeson's contract with MGM for Showboat. She got him $30,000. $30,000 in those days was a tremendous amount of money for anyone, let alone a black artist. And that was the most money any black artist had ever received through the entertainment field until that point.
Wow. David, you are another multi-hyphenate, right? An actor, director, and also you work in support of the Robey Theatre Company. Tell me about how the piece that you have right now. You have something in motion right now.
Yes, I work at the Theater of Arts Hollywood Acting School. It's the oldest acting conservatory in Los Angeles. It originated in 1927 as the Reinhardt Studio. It was started off as an acting studio, and it had some alumni that attended the school, such as Gregory Peck, Marilyn Monroe, Clint Eastwood, James Dean. And through the years, it turned and morphed into what's now as a 2-year accredited university. And we are in the process, or I'm currently directing the first all-black cast production. They've done a series of productions that have been majority black, but this is their first all-black production that they're doing. It's called Zooman and the Sign, and it was written by the late Charles Fuller, who also wrote A Soldier's Story, originally A Soldier's Play that was turned into A Soldier's Story. That's on tour right now, and we're excited about it. We have, it's a 9-cast play, and 8 of the 9 cast members are military veterans who have served that are in the cast, and we're very excited about it. Some of them, this is their first production that they've been in, and they were able to attend the school through the GI Bill, and I've been with the school for a little bit over a year, and I'm really excited about this opportunity to have been given to me to direct this play. I love the play, and I did it years ago when I was in my undergrad at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, while I was there, and also working at Freedom Theater.
Right. So what is the synergy here, Ben Guillory, between the Theater of Arts Acting School and this production, and the Robey Theatre Company, and your professional theater company that's been doing plays consistently for 30 years?
Almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
Almost 30 years. So it's David. David is
David's the glue.
David's the glue, because David is an actor. David is an actor as well, and just most recently was in our production of A Heated Discussion, which we are revisiting come May 20th. We'll mount that again at LATC. And David has been working with us for a couple of years now, a couple of years. And the idea of young black actors, part of what Robey is all about is nurturing, hopefully helping to develop young artists, not necessarily all young, but young artists, not just young people, but young artists. And David's passion for what's going on at the conservatory has bled over into Robey, because what he's working on, who he's working with there, this is what we do. This is what we have advocated, and one of the reasons we were founded was because there were so many young artists of color that just needed some kind of leg up training, raw passion, raw talent, but the disciplines weren't there. And so we thought that if we could help in that area, we could strengthen our audience and our artist base. And so what David's brought to the table is a whole bevy of young artists that are coming to be part of Robey's audience and will eventually be part of Robey's company as artists themselves.
It's interesting how we cross-pollinate on these projects. I say I have the unofficial Dominique DiPrima broadcast school because I have people that I've worked with that have worked with me in stations and organizations all across the country. And for you, David, it must be interesting too, because you working in two worlds. You're working in the Robey Theatre Company, which is pretty much all black. I mean, there's, if there's a role for somebody else, there's a role for somebody else, but it's a primarily black company. And then you're working in what we would call the Hollywood mainstream in the Theater of Arts Acting School, which has been around since 1927, when I'm pretty sure we probably weren't allowed in there. What is, I mean, we just got a couple minutes here before news, traffic, and sports, but talk to me about, living in those two parallel but alternate universes.
Well, the one thing I'll say is that, 1927 up until, I guess, the 60s and 70s and all, it was the great, 40s definitely, it was the great Hollywood era. And so you did have a lot of whites that were in those roles studying and training and that's when you had contracts with big studios and things like that. So now we're moved away from that, and we're moving towards just the training of people wanting to learn how to do the craft. And Theater of Arts has been very strong in their position of bringing in minorities into their program. And I originally got connected with the Robey Theater when I moved out here in 2016, and just taking an acting class. And after taking a couple classes there, finding my way to wanting to teach, a teacher of mine from the University of the Arts who now lives out in LA introduced me to that school, and I was coming in subbing, and then I eventually landed a position there after the artistic director came and saw me in a heated discussion. And so I kind of felt, once I was working at the school and also still working with the Robey Theater, that this could be a bridge of connection, because the Robey Theater works primarily with advanced, good, trained actors, and I'm right now working with them that are learning how to first be that. So we have like a relationship now with the Robey Theater where it's kind of a bridge crossing from coming off the streets into learning the craft, and then eventually moving towards an arena like the Robey Theater, where you're producing and you're a trained actor working the whole instrument towards that. So it's nice to be the kind of glue or adhesive between those two universes.
Got news, traffic, and sports right now, and then we will continue this conversation with Ben Guillory and David Bollar. This is, of course, KBLA Talk 1580, where we're elevating Black and progressive voices around the clock.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The Congressional Black Caucus is slamming Tennessee lawmakers for expelling 2 Black Democratic representatives on claims they violated House rules by protesting for stricter gun laws on the chamber floor. The CBC released a statement calling the targeted expulsions anti-democratic, morally bankrupt, and racist. Just a third of American voters say President Biden deserves to be reelected in 2024. That's according to a new CNN poll. The survey found 32% of respondents think Biden should serve a second term, down from 37% who said the same in a December poll. Biden has yet to officially announce his reelection bid. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Earn your bachelor's, master's, or nursing degree in the classroom or online at Vanguard University. Ranked as a top 10 university in the West by U.S. News & World Report for 12 consecutive years. At Vanguard, your story matters. Visit vanguard.edu to learn more.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers have 2 games left in the regular season to improve their playoff position in the Western Conference. The Lakers are at home tonight against Phoenix. They wrap up Sunday against Utah. The Clippers are at home Saturday against Portland, then close out Sunday at Phoenix. Tiger Woods is in 54th place at the Masters after shooting 2 over 74 in Thursday's first round. He's 9 shots behind the leaders, but only 1 shot off from making the cut. Tiger will have to play a lot better today to avoid elimination. The LSU women's basketball team has accepted an invitation from President Biden for a celebration at the White House. LSU players were considering not going to the White House after First Lady Jill Biden suggested Iowa's team should come as well. LSU beat Iowa Sunday for the national championship. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tell me I'm the boy that girl. I'm young, gifted, and black.
KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Personal Law Office is your go-to attorney for criminal cases. We will work with you at every step to ensure you are fully informed and your rights are protected. Call me at 424-261-2075 if you're facing any criminal offenses.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the Evan-On, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Getting you ready for your weekend, the weekend that also contains the birthday of Paul Robeson. Ben Guillory is with us. He's the co-founder, CEO, and producing artistic director of the Robey Theatre Company. He's also appeared in quite a few plays, films, commercials, and the like, as well as directing a number of shows for the Robey Theatre Company. Mm-hmm. We're also being joined by David Bollar. He's an actor. He's also a director of a show that's coming out now, and on top of that, teaches others how to act, as you do, Ben Guillory. It's funny. I think about when I first came to LA and how, people come here. This is the big market where you take your wares to town and see if you can work, see if you can become a star. But I think sometimes people forget. You got to keep studying.
Yeah, it's important because it's the accumulative value of studying just the basic disciplines for the theater is because each production is different. Each production has different needs, different priorities, and some have compared it to figuring out how to do a performance all over again for each production. Yes, there are basic fundamentals that you need to know about. It's contemporary work, there's classical work, there's improvisation, there's comedic work, there's all of those different things that some are more adept at than others. My thought is one must keep working. One must work keeps the rhythm of work in place. I talk to some actors, and this is a small example. I say, "How you doing? What's going on? What are you doing?" They said, "Nothing." I said, "Are you working on anything?" "No." "Are you studying anywhere?" "No." Are you getting with other artists, other friends, other actors, and reading a play on Sundays or something?" "No." "Well, then how do you expect to be ready to work when you do have, quote, an audition for a project and you need to get ready to audition? If you haven't done anything in 2, 3, 4 months, well, then you have to rev it up all over again. You have to get ready all over again. Most career professionals in any profession are constantly oiling their wheels. They're constantly thinking about the work. This is not an easy craft. It is a craft, and it isn't easy. Because it looks easy to most people, well, I can get up and walk and talk and not bump into the furniture. No, that takes time, and the easier it looks, the more work is usually gone into it.
Yeah, I have a theory about that. There's some jobs that just look easier than they are. Acting, being president of the United States, radio is one. Oh, I can get on a mic and talk. Okay, come on then. But you also, one thing Robey Theater does is, and it's Theater RE, by the way, if you're looking for it, not ER, online, Robey Theatre Company. You train not just actors, you also train playwrights,
technicians,
artists.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We have a playwrights laboratory that meets 3 times a year, 10-week sessions 3 times a year, spring, summer, and fall. About a dozen playwrights. Some of them have been with us for years. We have where Dr. Daphne Serkay is the dramaturg and instructor. She works with the playwrights on the basic nuts and bolts of dramatizing for the stage and specifically on their own particular projects, whatever play they might be working on. And often we commission some of those playwrights to do specific work for Robey. Here's for instance, on Sunday, 5 of those playwrights have written 10-minute scenes having to do with Paul Robeson's life, illustrating moments in Paul Robeson's life. Brand new scenes. Last year, we commissioned 5 playwrights to each write a full-length play over a year's time. We read those plays during the Paul Robeson Theater Festival in 2022, and out of those 5 plays, 1 play emerged, and we produced that play. Man's Favorite Devil's Plan. We did a fully mounted production with all the accoutrements of the theater. And that discipline, it all starts with the written word. The whole process starts with the written word. The whole process of theater starts with the written word. No playwrights, no theater. I used to have conversations with Phil Hayes Dean when he was with us still, and Phil could be a curmudgeon, from way back, but he was so knowledgeable about theater, such a skilled writer. And we go back and forth. Well, the actor is the most important element of the theater. Without the actor, you don't have theater. You don't have theater if you don't have an actor. And he said, no, it's the writer. And I said, no, it's the actor. And back and forth until, well, we don't need the writer because the actor can improv, right? And he cracked on me and said, then the actor becomes the writer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So, of course, if you want to find out more about maybe getting into the theater, the writer's workshop, or to getting into the training that they offer for actors, it's robeytheatrecompany.org. Spell out company, Robey Theatre Company, TheARTRE, right?
The Robey Theater.
You need a the.
The Robey Theater Company.
The writer again. The robeytheatrecompany.org. Yeah. And also, I know you guys are having a celebration, a party of the 125th birthday
125th
of Paul Robeson on Sunday, but sorry, it's sold out, so you can't come.
Well, it's free and it's just full.
Right.
It's just, don't come because we don't have the room.
Sorry, but you'll have to wait till May. Yeah. May 20th, Heated Discussion opens.
Heated Discussion Revisited. And why is because, well, there were so many people who wanted to see it that did not see it. So we brought it back this year. Also, there are so many events. You know what the play is about. 25 words or less. The premise of the play is 3 African Orishas summon 13 iconic black figures, everyone from Dr. King to Malcolm to Zora Neale Hurston to Maya Angelou, Richard Pryor, Tupac Shakur, Bob Marley, all of these iconic figures that have passed, to talk and think about what kind of solution they can come to stop the wanton murders of black people by the authorities with impunity. And, of course, we all know that's still happening. One of the most horrific events, they're all horrific, but one of the most horrific events is, most recently, those 5 black policemen who beat that poor young man to death.
Yeah, and ironically, there were actually some other folks that weren't black that were also part of that, but they just weren't in the headlines.
Uh-huh.
So that's also
But the point there, too, is that, they were fired
Immediately, absolutely.
Immediately. So often we see that happening with the white officers, and it takes them 6 months to even bring charges.
Yeah, if we're lucky. And also, let's talk about how to connect with you, David, as far as, the show that you're doing, and also the training that you're offering.
Okay. Well, the production that we're doing, which is called Zooman and the Sign, which opens on May 12th at the Zephyr Theater. It is, in a nutshell, it is about the violence that we face with the killing of each other. This play takes place in 1979, and it deals with the murder of an African-American girl on her front steps by getting shot in crossfire by gang members, and how the family tries to deal and handle with the trauma. And, it was written in 1979, so it still unfortunately rings true today.
So we'll get information on how to connect with that, and also the work that you do to help people get their chops together when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
LA Mayor Karen Bass and the city attorney announced Skid Row housing preservation and rehab initiative. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. LA Mayor Karen Bass and city attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto recently announced an initiative to preserve and rehabilitate 2,000 housing units in Skid Row. The announcement comes after the Skid Row Housing Trust's recent communication that it would no longer be able to operate the 29 buildings it runs across the city. So this new plan will turn the city's aging downtown real estate into housing for the homeless. In reference to this plan, the mayor says that failure is not an option. Losing nearly 2,000 units of housing would be devastating to Skid Row, and it would be felt citywide, and people would lose their lives. What do you think about this new plan? Let us know on all socials at KBLA 1580.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California, with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
And I've got two artists of the theater, and activists of the theater, I'd say, in studio. Ben Guillory, who is the co-founder, along with actor Danny Glover, CEO and producing artistic director of the Robey Theatre Company, really one of our premier theater companies here in the Southland. If you haven't seen their shows, I suggest that you do. David Bollar is an actor. He's also directing Zooman and the Sign. And that is for the Theater of Arts Acting School, opening the 12th. How do we connect with that? How do we see that show if we'd like to see it?
There's two ways. One, you can go to toa.edu for Theater of Arts, toa.edu, and just go under the web page and go to events, and you can see it there. And also, once tickets are there's also going to be a link at the Robey Theatre Company under their sales. There's going to be a caption in the sales section where you can also purchase tickets through there. And if you use the code Zooman23 in capital letters, Zooman23, you receive a 50% discount on your ticket.
Okay, Zooman23, as in the year. That's great. You can, take a friend and still pay the same price. So you've got this new, a new iteration of A Heated Discussion. It was a very popular play that will be opening at the Robey on the 20th. And then you have a whole season ahead.
The remaining of the season.
Right.
Yeah, we'll do a fall production that's yet to be announced. Has to be, it's narrowed down to a short list, but it hasn't been nailed. Then we'll do Harambe, which is Maria Lamel's play. Again, another commissioned work about Kwanzaa, about the meaning of Kwanzaa. That's set in a university college classroom where Kwanzaa is introduced to young people who have not really learned about Kwanzaa and the 7 principles. We'll do that at the end of the year. And those are the 2 productions besides a heated production, Revisited, that we'll do this year.
And that's interesting, too, because you guys often do just a Kwanzaa performances or Kwanzaa celebrations that aren't necessarily a show, but more of a commemoration, if you will, of the holiday itself. So this is next level.
Yeah. This is dramatizing it because there are so many people. The values that Kwanzaa espouses are so basic to us and important to us that we wanted to highlight it, and hence the commissioned work. And Marie Lamel is a first-time playwright, has done a tremendous job, a tremendous piece of work. I think our audiences will enjoy it as well as be enlightened about a lot of things. You know, what you were saying earlier about the educational value of what we try to do, and I like to think sometimes we succeed, every now and then we hit a good one, is ongoing. The developmental process that we have honed, massaged, and because, you know, the values of this work, we're in Los Angeles. We're in the entertainment capital of the United States and the world. Hollywood and all that conjures up is not so much what the Robey Theatre Company is. Because we as a people have not had the resources over the decades as in mainstream theater or white theater, we haven't had access to the resources. We haven't been able to develop as finely, as rapidly as other more granted, so we say.
Yeah, more resourced, of course.
Yeah. And so we've had to make up time. We've always had the artist. We've always had the passion. We've always had the talent. But the refinement of some things, and there are some things that need not be refined. In fact, refinement will spoil them.
Right.
You know? But there are some things that do need a sharpening, that do need a kind of that. And we try to spotlight that and put it under a black lens, because that's the whole difference. There's what David was saying about the arts, where he's working. Since 1927, they have had this opportunity to develop, to find artists and develop those artists and develop their whole philosophy about the art. Ours is somewhat different. Ours is, we have a whole sensibility that is simply different because of who we are and what we've gone through, especially in this country, one might say, I think, yes. So, Robey's point of view about craft and about what we present to our audience is really about a black consciousness. And that's developing because it keeps morphing. It keeps changing as we change. You know, in 1947, when Jackie Robinson was into Branch Rickey recruited Jackie Robinson for big league baseball, that was a pivotal point where segregation was formally, it changed. It opened the door for our whole population, which had been actually incubated into a almost an isolation because of segregation. And when segregation opened doors and we were, quote, allowed, unquote, to enter in places where we had never been had access to, that changed it. Some of it for the better, some of it not so much. Some of it not so much,
Yep.
Contaminated almost.
Well, I think about this idea that, people are always saying we have to change the narrative. And I think about the Robey Theater and how, by you presenting and developing works about us, by us, in our own voices, that is the most kind of foundational way of changing the narrative.
Absolutely.
I love that you guys are working together, because we would think, well, they're both teaching acting, they're both presenting plays, opening in May, but yet there's mutual support and mutual admiration. David, talk to me about that.
I'm very happy that I found the Robey Theatre Company and that I got a chance to work there, because I was looking for a place to have my voice. And then also being in the world premiere production of A Heated Discussion, getting the chance to play Malcolm X, and falling into the School of Theater of Arts and getting the opportunity to be working with young students, and just having that relationship in this community, because this is a film city, but the artistic quality comes from good actors. I find is from theater trained actors, and I'm just very happy that I found that connection to be in this community between these two schools of training, and I'm very glad that I got a chance to meet Ben and have him direct me in that, and that I get to work there in the marketing department, and it's just a good community, and I'm because it's a rare find that I think I found. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, it's true. So many actors come to town, or directors, writers come to town and kind of lose their bearings in that Hollywood space that you're talking about, Ben, without either finding community or some kind of anchoring artistry, craft, discipline, just floating around waiting to be discovered or waiting for that so-called big break. But, people can function in more than one world at the same time, right?
Absolutely. I think so. You have to.
Have to.
Yeah. If you want to somehow thrive, maybe even survive.
We'll go with thrive.
Okay. Yeah. So, there is simply a need for it, The arts, I've always felt, it saved my life, I know. And I know other artists that it saved their sanity. It saved their lives literally. Mm-hmm. It has given them a sense of real purpose, because what is the arts about but about us, about how we interact with each other and how we see things, how we interpret things, what kind of vision we have. And it's cultural, and it's very, very, very specific. Even in a society that is considered melting, considered assimilation, all of those things. That's what I meant by we're constantly changing as people of color, but those changes do not exclude our culture. Our culture simply changes, morphs into other things, morphs into, hopefully, really positive things that are contributions.
So, speaking of contributions, I just got a little over a minute here. Time flies when you're on the radio. How can we, the people, support the work that you're doing, Ben Guillory, David Bollar? I know we can go see the shows. I know we can go and we can take the acting classes. Robey Theater, the Robey Theatre Company.org.
Yes.
How else can we support?
Donations, of course. Individual donations. Over the last almost 30 years, we have garnered a very solid base of individual donors, but to grow, to continue doing this kind of work and expand it and make it more available to more people, we need funding.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, whether you got $1 or $1 million, Robey Theater will take it.
Yes.
And for the show that David is directing, toa.edu, toa.edu. Ben Guillory and David, it's really, really, really nice to meet you, David Bollar. And, well, I've met you many times. Nice meeting you. Mm-hmm. And thank you for the work that you continue to do. Thank you for coming in and supporting KBLA.
Always thank you for the hospitality, Dominique. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd like to end with a quote. Sometimes I don't have time. But I like this one from Paul Robeson. Artists are the gatekeepers of truth. We are civilization's radical voice. Till next time, one love.